This is the story of Lu Shu, who grew up without a family. He isn't like most orphans. Rather, he is a metahuman who is changing along with himself and the rest of the world. As the magical age begins, he and his cute little sister Giu go on a journey to rise to the top. In the first episode, a woman is seen holding a baby during a storm late at night. Because there are men around who look shady, she hides and sings a song to her child. She says that she can't go home. For the baby's sake, a kind woman offers to let her stay with her for the night. The mother gives her baby to the woman and says she needs to get some drugs. She is never seen again. There is a big jump of about 18 years in time. There is some kind of Chinese event going on, and our main character, Lu Shu, is hanging out with a girl who looks like she could be his sister. They are both going to a show. Lu Shu makes his way to the front, where he takes the artist's fire in a magical way. He goes to another place for a short time and then comes back. It looks like no one has noticed anything, but it's important to notice that he's wearing the same necklace as the baby from the first picture. When the show is over, Lu Shu doesn't know much about the artist or what he can do. His sister wants to meet the artist so that she and he can learn how to use fire to make money. They sneak into a crime scene and watch what's going on. The artist is hit with a drug that calms them down. Lu Shu and his sister start to freak out, and they are caught. The agent said that the actos weren't allowed, which is why they're questioning the act, but Lu Shu isn't sure they're telling the truth. He uses the usual "we were looking for the bathroom" line, and as soon as they step outside, the guards let them go. Someone named Wei comes up to them out of the blue and asks what happened backstage. Lu Shu walks right by him and acts like he doesn't exist. He looks at the whole thing and decides that the fireman was using skills, which made a certain group angry. Lu Shu wants to know what's going on, but Zhu interrupts his train of thought. She ran away from a home, and now she lives with Lu Shu. This means that they are not connected. The news says that people with superpowers are showing up all over. Lu Shu, meanwhile, goes outside to get some instant noodles for a crying Shao. He was going. He thinks back to when he was an orphan and Kou was always there for him. His thoughts kept him busy. He is hit by the truck and starts bleeding on the road as his mother's songs play in the background. His body floats in the air as his necklace lights up and a rush of strength goes through his whole body. And when he wakes up, it's like nothing had happened. He doesn't feel any pain, and he starts to wonder if he has superpowers or something. Then, he just walks into the grocery store with blood all over his face. There, he finds that every time he makes someone feel bad, his score goes up, as if he were playing an RPG. He hands you the noodle and goes to the shower. A menu page pops up in front of him, and takes him to a different world where the song starts playing again. He knows that he has won the big prize. He finds out later that night that someone set a fire in the middle of the city. He goes outside on a whim and runs into some guys in black. But he is afraid because he knows that now that he has powers, he is also on their sights. Episode. Fortunately, he is smart enough to know how to put on a dumb face. Once home, his excuse works just like it did before. Lu Shu wonders why his feelings took him to the rooftop where those guys were going, as if he could feel them back home. Xiao Yu doesn't think that Lu Shu's room has any abilities. He doesn't understand why. With all the scores he has so far, he has no proof of his power. He buys something else that looks like it has something to do with religion. He eats, and as usual, the food goes to another world and comes back. He tries out his new skill and finds that he can lift his whole bed with just one hand. This makes him want to get more points the next day. Lu Shu makes money by selling eggs. Some of his peers show up to remind him that he needs to work to make money. But Lu Shu has gotten very good at making people mad. This is when he sees Chao, a girl in the classroom who makes his heart beat faster. People are always talking about people with special abilities. Lu Shu finds out that these awoken people have ranks, and that Lu Shu is currently at rank. He doesn't care about his rank, though, as long as he can get more points. Then, all of a sudden, they hear that Li Qi, a boy in 7th grade, has found a way to get superpowers. He got into an argument with a teacher and is now on the roof. Because he is smart and quick to think, Lu Shu confuses Li Qi by saying he is going to push a teacher down. This gives the cops time to save the poor teacher. Back in class, Lu Shu and everyone else are forced to give a blood sample, but he doesn't know why. We find out the next day at school that blood samples were taken to find out who the kids who woke up are. They will have a special classroom and a special teacher, who is the same person who put out the fire. When the names of the students are read out, everyone is surprised to see Lu Shu's name on the list. Also on the list are the Chao girl and Lu Shu's bully. In the last scene, a mysterious masked figure beats up an entire clan in an epic battle. Chapter 3. In the beginning of the next episode, Young, a new student, is shown, who is also in the special class for the Woken, sits next to Lucas Chafe. The teacher of the special class teaches about unique chemicals. It turns out that the new person knows a lot about strange things. X-Fei says that a chemical can be used to test how well a student can do something. The abilities are better the darker the drug is. He says that there are 6 quality standards in total. Tomorrow, it will be clear to which group each kid fits. He also says that users with low skills can move up the ranks back home if they work hard and try. Lu Shu thinks if the fact that he ate the cleaning fruit will make his skills less good. The game shows that Lu Shu has used too many cleaning fruits, so they won't show up in the draw anymore. Instead, he gets a stinky piece of tofu that is determined to make a masterpiece. He spins and spins until a strange black cloud appears and an object appears in Lu Shu's hands. The object then slips into Lu Shu's awareness by chance. She goes into an unknown star plane, just like Lu did. But it looks different from what we saw with Lu. She comes to and says, "I'm awake." When she remembers what's going on, Lu Shu hopes that one day his talent will earn him money or get him something better than stinky food. He tells the stinky tofu that his game is good for him. Many people buy the tofu, which doubles Lu Shu's income. Some people don't like it because it smells bad, but that helps Lu Shu because as their dislike grows, so does his score, which he can use to buy more tofu to sell. He is really very smart. He is happy about his work success for the next couple of weeks. One day, he goes back into his star plane and brings a magic sword with him back to the real world. He has apparently passed the first level, and there are 7 more levels to go. In the meantime, She teaches his students a new method called the union of 2 aspects. With this method, they can use some psychic stones to gain a lot of strength. The next day, the old man tries to get Lu Shu to join him again by showing off his amazing sword skills, but Lu Shu doesn't care. During lunch, Lu Shu asks Jung about the Thetan Luo Foundation. Jung tells him that it is where some of the best people in the country from a certain place lie. They look like they are trying to catch the Woken in a trap. That night, Lu Shu feels something strange. A few people show up in front of the old swordsman's house. A boy walks into the house. It looks like he's with the Tian Luo D1 group and wants to join the old man because of his great skills. The old man, who calls himself Li, turns down the offer and calls Tian Luo a group of invaders. When the boy heard this, he left with a clear warning. When he leaves, he sees Lu Shu looking out the window, but he doesn't care. Lu Shu agrees to train with the old man when he finds out that he knows some of the really strong guys. They get along quickly, which is a surprise. The next day, in episode 4, everyone finds out that more woke people are working together to do bad things. Lu Shu tries to get a quick look at Chao, who has become famous. Even in the special class, the old man agrees to teach her because she is so good at what she does. If Lu Shu trains with him, he gives Lu Shu some weights that he has to wear from now on to start training properly. Lu Shu asks why he has to train so much if one of the special skills of the Dao Young class can directly make someone stronger. The old man says that Shehu Jin is the name of the guy who came up with these methods. He knows a lot about how abilities work. While Lu Shu thinks about who Shehu Jin is, the old man tells him that he can't take shortcuts when it comes to learning how to use a sword. He tells Lu Shu to put on 300 kilograms of the lightest weights. Lu Shu throws the weights into the air and says, "These are way too light." Lu Shu says that he is already awake in answer to the shocked look on the old man's face. After thinking for a while, the old man picks up a piece of paper from the table. He uses his talents to turn the paper into something sharper than a sword. This piece of paper has enough power to break down a whole wall. He then tells Lu Shu to use all his strength to do the same air attack on his own. Lu Shu tries very hard, but he fails more than once. Until he gets it right, he trains. At the end of the day of training, the old man tries to get Lu Shu to promise that if he ever gets very strong, he will be responsible for it and use it for the good of everyone. Lu Shu says no, and says that his only job is to stay alive and take care of Xiao. He tells him to change his mind. But we learn something about Lu Shu's personality. Even though he had a tough youth, he has never been sad. He just doesn't want more duties. The next day, when Lu Shu's isn't there, a strange man shows up. He's the same strong guy the old man talked about as Lu Shu. Shehu Jin, Xiaoyu, says something stupid during the training that irritates the unwanted guest. Lu Shu sees that his score has gone up since his star plane is linked to hers. Xu Jing says that Lu Shu is too weak to be the old man's student, so he starts running home. Shehu Jin then tells the old man in a cool and polite way that Tai Lu had asked him to join the group before. Later, the old man asks Lu Shu to check his power level again and gives him the chemical he needs. When Lu Shu does the tests, he finds out that the color of his power level is not on the list of what to do. Lu Shu only knows that it has something to do with his star plane color. He tells the old man that he is still on the low level, and at night he tries to forget about the test findings. He gets to the second stellar level and gets access to ultra defense, while you only get to the first stellar level. Even though her star plane almost takes over, it turns out that she can use her skills to call up dead animals while they are having dinner. The 3 thieves start causing trouble again, and you leave the house to check on them. Episode 5. They see 3 awakened thieves fighting hard against some people from the Thetan Luo organization. The crooks are backed into a corner by the ladder, and the cops arrive quickly when they realize how dangerous the situation is. Lu Shu sends you back home and even goes to the crime scene, hiding behind a curtain to watch the big boss of the gang drag his gang members out. But a member of Tai Luo uses a blood spell to make people feel nothing. But it doesn't work. Soon, Lu Shu gets caught in the middle of the fighting, and he has to face the big guy. He calls that sword from his starship and crushes the bones of the latter so easily that it kills him. So, later that night, he takes Shell Yu out to test her skills, and she manages to get energy from the same dead hole. In the meantime, Chan Luo has set up a meeting to find out who Lu Shu is. They say he is at least at sea level, so taking him in is the most important thing, no matter where he may be. They don't know that this sea level awakened expert is selling stinky tofu's and getting points by making people mad. Episode 6. Shell Yu wakes up one night for no reason and turns the person who did it into a real person, scaring Lu Shu. She says that she can not only control his body, but also see what he remembers. He must have hidden a lot of money in the nearby woods before he died. Do you want to go look? Lu Shu doesn't agree with her idea. She tries to get him to do what she wants, but she fails at school. Lu Shu finds out that the spirit stones have come and that their head is being changed. The new head seems to be a B-level Chan Luck member named Headley, and Lu Shu seems to know him. The first also feels something in the crowd, but he or she decides to ignore it. He then gathers the awakened students for a meeting to tell them of their future duties and the spiritual stones. Then he tells them about the strange man who killed a D-level criminal without realizing that the man was right in front of him. Lu Shu later gets 2 magical stones, which he plans to sell. Director Lee meets the old man because he thinks the strange sea-level guy is from his group because he can wield. He tells them that some skeletons have come back to life from the ruins out of nowhere. Episode 7. When the students wake up, the school tells them to go to the sites and check out what's going on. This will give them experience. Lu Shu trains at night in his star plane, while he annoys other people during the day. At some point, the class representative dares him to a fight, but he loses easily. He starts to rise from the tops of the mountains, which means skeletons are coming. But it turns out that the skeleton will disappear if someone gets a thing called the eye matrix. Everyone starts running downhill, and in the middle of the chaos, Lu Shu and Yung Shu get separated. Only Lu Shu has the guts to stand on his feet and cut the bones. He tells them to leave his land as soon as possible and stays behind to deal with the monsters. In the 8th episode, Lu Shu is killing targets left and right when he finds a flare that was shot down by a foreign student who Lu Shu thinks is a spy. It turns out that what he thought was true, and that the spy is here to steal from the wreck. But soon, a group of skeletons attack them, and they both have to run for their lives. Still, Lu Shu irritates the spy just to score some points. They get away, but they have trouble trusting each other. The spy tries to sneak away without getting caught, but Lu Shu won't let him. He has to eat food from the gacha game to get his energy back. He gives the spy kid the bad suit, which is the last nail in the coffin and the start of an epic battle. Unexpectedly, Lu Shu uses a move he has never used before to hurt the spy kid, and the kid starts to bleed. He then leaves and spends days wandering around the ruins. He finds fruits that he saves for later and fights off nighttime beasts. He runs until he finds the other students. Since he is the biggest, they call him their master. Lu Sai takes advantage of the situation and shows off the fruits he picked up along the way, but he won't give them away. Episode 9. Lu Shu goes out to find the eye matrix and finds a skeleton riding a horse. He fights it with nothing but his bare hands and takes its long stick. Chan Luo sees a group of skeletons traveling together. They decide that killing their leader will make things hard for the enemy, but their leader seems to have lost its weapon, which Lu Shu had stolen. Tai Luo has trouble coming up with a plan, and everyone is surprised when Lu Shu shows up with the stick. He steals more guns from them as if it were nothing. Chang Luo thinks about getting him to join their group, having the same greed as he does. Lu Shu starts to trade cash and jewelry for guns. Later that night, they meet strange creatures that look like dark energy. These creatures set off the sword in Lu Shu's realm, but he can't pull it out. The group finally gets to the center of the ruins, where Lu Shu meets the boss of the group. The leader seems to be able to quickly call up his sword, which could kill a normal person. Director Lee will be there soon with food for everyone. The next morning, they plan to check out the hole in the heart. But that night, a group of spies goes out on their own to find the eye grid. Episode 11. All the noise makes Director Lee show how strong he really is, which makes Shu's shock go away. The former says that everything he did was part of his plan to find out who the hackers were. Then, they all go underground to find the eye matrix before the enemy does. But when they get to the bottom, it looks like all of the spies have died. At that point, the same dark energy that had formed earlier comes back to attack them. It turns out that the spies gave their souls and powers to one person, who is now incredibly powerful and can't be seen. It looks like only Lu Shu can figure out where he is. More things attack, and Lu Shu manages to get away from the ghost. Spy tries to hit him, but Lucci has already used up that energy. Episode 12. Lu Shu steals more guns while everyone else is fighting. A skeleton tries to stop him from touching a special seal. When he touches it, everyone turns to dust and comes back to life on Earth. But Lu Shu isn't there. His friends, including the bully, are almost in tears because they can't find him. Then he walks in, dressed in dazzling jewelry. He goes home to apologize to Chao Yu and check on the seal he took from the realm. Tian Lu, on the other hand, can't figure out who took the eye matrix, also known as the key. They also want to hire Luke and Chao because they have done so well. Now that everything is back to normal, Lu Shu wants to buy a house for Xiao Yu because they have always wanted that since they were kids in a home. This video is over now.